Looks like it's going to be 500 feet overcast to get into Columbia. That's going to be pretty rough to do. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Flight Simulator X once again, where today we're going to be doing something different than flying an airliner. We're going to be going back to the grassroots of just GA flying. I picked this paint up off of AvSim. I don't remember who did it exactly, but this is the A2A Cessna 172. And we're going to be using VOR navigation to Columbia, Missouri today, which is just off to the west of us. We'll take the Forrestal VOR, and then we'll head over and use DME to COU. We'll go direct from Forrestal. So once we cross over Forrestal's VOR, we'll change over to the COU. We should be able to pick it up. If not, we'll just, continue west until we do pick it up. But anywho, clouds are currently at about 4,200 feet. Cloud clearances wise, we're just going to stay at about 3,000 feet out west. Unless it clears up. I don't know if it's going to or not. It doesn't look like it will. So we might just stay underneath the shelf since we're flying VFR and not IFR totally. But that's the main idea today. Just to stick VFR. Without further ado, let's do the walk around in the airplane and get underway. All right. Now that we're sitting here in the cabin, we can do our checklist. pitot tube cover is removed. Pilot's operating handbook is down there. It's in the airplane. Weight and balance, we've already checked that earlier. Parking brake is set. Control wheel, I already removed that. Ignition switch is off. Avionics master switch is off. We'll turn on the battery now, like so. Pitot heat, we don't have to worry about that. It is summer still. Fuel quantity should be checked. If we look underneath here, you can see about 75% on both sides. More than enough fuel to get there. Moving along here, we've got Avionics master switch. We can switch that on. This is to test some stuff. So Avionics comes alive so we can test the annunciator system. Okay, there we go. Static pressure outsource. Check that. That's in. We've got, where we at? Annunciator panel test switch. Yep, we want to check that. So we'll flip it up. And all the lights illuminate. And then we get to turn it back off. And then fuel selector, we'll make sure that's on both, which is in the center. Fuel shutoff valve is off. On. You push it all the way in. Flaps, we can extend those down now. And let those suckers come down so we can check the pins for those. Pitot heat off there. We don't have to worry about that. Avionics master switch, we can switch that off. And we can turn the battery off as well, since we won't need that right now. Elevator trim, we'll go ahead now and double check that to be set for takeoff, which we just, wrong button. We need to go down a little bit. I don't know why it's being stubborn, but okay. Okay, now it wants to just do it at once. Awesome. I turned you off. Why are you turning magically on again? Avionics and master battery. All right, so I did the walk around inspection on everything. Everything's good to go. We're just gonna go ahead and close our door here, like so we can get on our way today. I'm not using Track IR because it's been acting so retarded. I can't even begin to tell you how bad it's been. But anywho, let's just fire this old girl up. So we'll go master battery on, like so. And that was supposed to be out. I don't know why it did that. But fuel pump's going to come on. We'll go in. Wait for the spike up to 5. Like so. Pull it out. And turn that off. We'll crack the throttle just a little bit. And now we can flip it over. There we go. Get the catch. And then we'll go full rich for now. We'll bring these flaps up. We can go ahead and turn on the Avionics master switch. Like so. Turn our GPS on. There we go. And then we can start leaning the engine out for ground operations so we don't foul the fuel. We don't foul the spark plugs. So that's good. Having a quick reference here. We're going to be going to Forrestal VOR first. And that's going to be 110.8. So I want to do 110.8 on the nav. Let's do that now, actually. 110. 10. Where you at? 110, buddy. Down. Okay, let's just do this. 110.8. 6, 7, 8. Like, bam, like so. We should be picking up, like, right there. We'll wait till we get in the air, and then we'll go direct to it using the OBS. All right. Everything looks good there. So now we'll just listen to ATIS to see what's going on. Why is that so big? I don't know. We'll check out ATIS and see what's going on.
Airport information, Yankee 1854, wind 1318, visibility 19, sky conditions few cloud, 4200, sailing 8000, broken, temperature 18, 2.14, altimeter 2997, ILS, runway 8, right in visual, runway 8, left, landing at departure, runway 8, right in runway 8, left, VFR aircraft, say direction of flight.
All right, so they're going to be using 8 right, 8 left, and we already selected our altimeter to the local setting. So now we can just call up ground for taxi. All right, we're going to taxi over to 8 left. So parking brake is released. Give a little bit more power. And we'll check our brakes. I've got brakes. More power than that. And we'll use nose wheel steering. Normally in a Cessna 172, you just use differential braking. That's how we always did it in flight school. So just a little bit of differential braking here, like so. We will be using we'll be probably using some of the autopilot today, so we can set that up while we're messing around here. We're gonna set our altitude up to 3,000 feet. Oh. There we go. A little more power than that. While we're messing with our settings. All right, before we get to the end of the runway here, we'll do our run up really fast. So I'm going to point the airplane into the wind, which is 130 at 8 knots. So more power than that. Here we have it, just like so. Alrighty, and we'll go ahead and set our parking brake. Let's go mixture full rich now. And we're going to test the Magneto, so we'll give it power 1800 RPM. About right there. Looks good. And we'll check for the 50 drop on the left. There it is. Back to both. And check the right Magneto. 50 drop. Sorry. There it is. 50 drop. Back to both. And then we've got vac and temp. Pressure, everything is in the green, so that's good. We can bring this back to about 900 RPM, well, about 1,000 or so right there, like so. And then we can turn on a landing light and a strobe light. So let's go land and strobe lights on. We'll make sure that the secondary VOR is set for flight instruments. So let's go 110.2 for that one. 3, 2, there we go. Like so, so I can just flip it over whenever I need to do that. And while we're doing that, let's go direct waypoint. Let's select, we want to go to COU, Columbia, Missouri. Hit enter, activate. There we go. So we have it on our GPS. And other than that, we're pretty much ready to go. We just call up tower and we'll be on our way. Alrighty, let's put our headphones in like so, and we can call up tower and ask them we're clear to take off on 8 left here.
Spirit Tower, Cessna November 4635 kilo, ready for west departure at runway 8 left. Cessna November 4635 kilo, clear for takeoff, runway 8 left, departure distance west approved.
All right, clear for takeoff on 8 left.
Takeoff, runway 8 left, Cessna 35 kilo.
Now keep in mind that winds are 130 at 8, so we will turn into the wind with our ailerons and use proper crosswind techniques while on the ground. And then as we add power and as we come up to closer to 60 knots, we'll slowly bring that out. But for safety, you always do this. My God, I'm getting chewed on frames there. I don't know what's going on with that, but okay. It's going to glitch the ground textures really quick for us. Thank you. And ready to go. So we'll add full power. Like so. There we go. Nice and smooth. There we go. We're not applying any brakes. I don't want to make that sound, but okay, we're getting closer to speed. Start bringing that out. Start bringing it out a little more. Like so. Almost to 60 knots. There, 60. And rotate. Nice and easy. On up. Get that nose up on the horizon. And we crab into the wind of 130. So about right here's going to do that for runway heading. And we'll adjust the trim as necessary to maintain 80 knots. So I'll bring the nose down. We want to get that 80 knots going here. So bring that nose forward a little bit. Crossing through 70 knots, as you can see. There we have it. Like so. Bring that nose down a little bit more. Achieve 80 knots on our climb out. It's best climb. When we cross through 1,100 feet, we can begin our turn towards the VOR. So we'll do that. Once we cross 1,100 feet, bring that nose down a little bit more. Try to maintain that 80 knots on climb out. There we go. Getting closer there. Getting closer and closer. Bring that nose down. There's a little. We're past 1,100 feet, so we can start a turn now to the west. Well, we're gonna go to the north first, and then we'll pick up the VOR. So let's turn north to heading 360. Keep climbing towards 3,000 feet at best rate, 80 knots. Come on, get that 80 knots going. You're not gonna work for us, and we're getting chewed by frames. Awesome. Don't know why. All right, getting closer to 80 knots now. Bring that nose forward a little bit. Even better. Trim. There we have it. All right, so now we can spin this OBS to where it's gonna be more towards the west, and we want to line this needle up, and it'll tell us where we need to go towards the VOR. So more west. Okay, ooh, almost there. Back this way. So it looks like it's gonna be about a heading close to 27 due west to pick up the VOR. So let's go ahead and do that now. We'll flip our heading guy over here to the west, and still monitoring our speed on climb out. Still kind of poor, so we turn to the west. Man, just really jittery. It shouldn't be that bad going to the west. It's just loading in all that scenery over there at St. Louis. There we go. Doing better now. Close to the little beep means 1 to go, 1,000 feet to go. So let's go ahead and trim this airplane a little bit better. Bring that nose down. We're getting those updrafts. Still holding about 200 RPM. Not full. All right, we'll see you next time. Go over to St. Louis approach, and we'll just do a flight following. That way we'll have traffic advisories. All right. 3514 in the box. There we have it, 3514. We're going to intercept this needle. Yep, that's us. There we go. We want that needle here to get in the center, and then we can turn west again. I just want to intercept it so we're actually flying correctly to it. All right, we're still trying to capture the needle a little bit better here. Let's have a look at our DME. We're 8.9 miles to the VOR, so we're going to cross over the VOR, and then we'll move on to COU. All right, we're getting closer to the VOR now, about 6.6 miles, so the needle's getting a little finicky, so I'm not going to mess with that too much. We're just going to continue on our western heading. Currently, right now, we're holding 3,000 feet, and everything is looking good like so, so we can go ahead and turn our landing light off. We don't need that on. It's just kind of useless. We're GA airplane at 3,000 feet, and we're on our way to Columbia finally. All right, we're about 2.9 miles to that VOR, so really close. We'll be switching over to 110.2. We'll pick up the COU VOR from there. So still maintaining 3,000 feet, and just near, if we zoom in, you'll actually see the VOR on here. That's the big blue guy right there in the center. So we're pretty much on top of the VOR out there. I found the VOR. There's the Forrestal VOR just off to our nose to the right. That's what one of the VOR stations look like. Big radial like that. So pretty cool. You can actually see it on a clear day what they look like. You don't want to cheat and fly directly over them. That's not any fun. So there it is, 1 mile from it. So we can go ahead and switch over to the COU VOR like so. We click that, and now we're picking it up, and we're going to slide the OBS until we pick up the correct heading towards it. Looks like it's just going to be pretty much due west from us. Just slightly off course there. So we just turn right just a tear like so. And we'll be right back on course. Which you can see we're using the VOR, but on the GPS it's showing the magenta line on our way to Columbia as well. So showing about, I don't know, about 38 minutes or so is what that says. So that's what the estimated time and route is to Columbia. It'll be a lot shorter for you, of course. But we're on our way now, pretty much right at 3,000 feet, which was smart because we're still staying underneath those clouds. We could have gotten above them, but then we'll save that for a different type of flight.
Turn right heading 005, center 1850. 1850. Descend and maintain 2,600. That's the 9er train check. Turn right heading 250. Proceed on course. Climb and maintain 8,000. Center 1.
All right, we're starting to get closer to capturing that needle perfectly. I just want to keep honing it in just a little bit more each time. While we're up here at 3,000 feet, we can lean the airplane out, so we're going to start pulling this out till the engine starts to run rough, and then push it in just a little bit. There's the roughness. Push it forward. All right, there. So we'll lean it out for fuel consumption. We're about just a little over, probably about 20 gallons on each tank, so we're doing perfectly fine. What's interesting for a lot of you that don't know, Cessna 172, a little airplane like this, is actually a 4-cylinder engine. So imagine if you could be up in the air with your car that's a 4-cylinder. Imagine the kind of fuel mileage you would get out of it. The difference is if when we're traveling west, well, the winds are out of the south, so they're blowing us to the right, a little off course. That's why, as you can see, having to adjust to get back on course. The main thing is, actually, let's make it a little bit harder of a turn there. But you can imagine if you're going into the wind, it's going to be a lot slower. Actually, fun thing was that when I flew down in Florida to Georgia one time, we were actually getting passed by the cars underneath us on the highway. We were actually, you could look down like this on the highway down there, and you could see cars actually passing us because we were dealing with such a headwind. So, pretty interesting little fact that these engines are none other than just a 4-cylinder engine. They just sound a lot more throaty and awesome because they don't have a muffler system on them. They just have a straight pipe coming off the exhaust. So, not too much longer. The clouds look like they're starting to clear out a little bit up there. There's a little bit of a hole. We are using real-world time and real-world weather. I think I said that correctly, yes. So off to our left there, that's the Missouri River that's running along there. And I know that if we followed that all the way down, we would hit Jefferson City. So if we ever lost our VOR or any of our navigational instruments, we could fly direct in it over to the river, follow the river down to Jefferson City and fly due north, and we would be in Columbia. So that's just, it's always nice to have options. But we have a GPS 295 in case any of that were to go bad. But anywho, enough rambling on. Not too much further. We're just about 27 minutes out. All right, just turning it a little slightly to the left-hand side here to capture that a little more accurately, that needle there. As you can see, it swung back over to us. So now we are, without flying the actual GPS over there, we can use it as a reference, but now we are heading directly towards the COU VOR now, and we have a 43.9, or now going down to 0.8, so about 43 miles, nautical miles to COU. All right, we're coming up on some clouds there. Oh. All right, we'll go over to Kansas City Center for our flight following. We're coming up on some clouds, so we need to descend down below those. So let's take care of that right now. Altitude off. Bring that nose down just a little bit. And we want to descend below those clouds. Since we're flying VFR, and we could easily fly, IFR, it wouldn't be an issue, but I want to make sure that we're, flying VFR correctly. Actually, we'll just go ahead and turn the autopilot off during this part, so I don't have to mess with any of that. I'm just going to start trimming the nose down since it keeps wanting to pop back up on me. And that's because the autopilot had it set what they wanted. All right, manually had to turn the autopilot off. It wouldn't do what I wanted it to. I'm really trimming this airplane down, and it doesn't really want to at all. The trim doesn't seem to be working to my advantage. We're getting closer to this cloud deck that we want to get underneath. There we go. A little bit better now, about 500 feet per minute. We'll probably have to descend about 2,000 feet to get underneath them. That's what it's looking like to me. Come on, baby. Keep on coming on down. All right, we got down pretty much below it. We had to get down to about 1,200 feet to do it. But those clouds, they creeped up on us pretty quickly, actually. So sometimes you have to do that if you're flying VFR, especially. We don't want to get into some clouds. Now, I know that my destination's off to the right, and you can see the VOR needle starting to swing right. But if I turn right, we'll be in the path of that cloud deck, so I just want to kind of sweep underneath it and get around it. Alrighty, we got underneath that cloud deck pretty easily. We're just going to re-intercept our heading, and we want to avoid that big tower that's out there off our nose, as you can see. Right over to Mizzou approach for us. Once we cross onto that needle, we can start our turn, which we'll probably start turning a little earlier just because I want to get around that tower there. So just the clouds and the weather hampered our flight, but we're staying VFR, so we're acting like we don't have an IFR rating, and we can't fly into clouds. So that's the whole reason behind descending below them and dealing with that. Because if we would have descended above them, we could have ran into a problem of never having an opening. We would have had cloud ceiling right over COU, which I know we do at 4,200, so it's not really a smart idea to do, especially if we're not IFR rated. So that's the reason why we're dodging clouds, if you were wondering. We're maintaining about 300 feet from them. And you can see off to our right there, there's the two towers that we're avoiding. You always got to keep a sharp eye when flying VFR. And it looks like it's starting to clear up a little bit better here. So we're just going to maintain about 1,500 feet here. I'm hand flying it, not using the autopilot system. And I'm going to turn right around these again so we can get back on course with the VOR. We're about 26 miles out from Columbia and still doing cloud dodging, so I'm still maintaining right around 1,500 feet or so to try to stay out of the way of the clouds, which they seem to be coming down on us the further along we go. When I checked the weather, it wasn't doing that, but now it looks like it's starting to do that. And off our nose, that should be the nuclear power plant. We're going to fly right by it. Well, not that close to it, since we can't in real life. It would have a TFR around it. We're not a TFR. It wouldn't be a temporary flyer. It would be a permanent one. But basically, a small little airspace. You're not allowed to ever fly. It's a no-fly zone over them. And we're going to continue to dodge clouds all the way to Columbia, it seems. And we can see over there on the GPS map, we're starting to pick up the little green feather for the approach into Jefferson City. So we're getting closer to the nuclear power plant. Get back down to about 1,500 feet and pull back the power. And still dodge clouds all the way to Columbia. It's looking like we're going to be okay. We might have to go a little bit to the left. So the clouds are almost touching the ground over there on the right. Well, that's not good for us. Looks like it's going to be 500 feet overcast to get into Columbia. That's going to be pretty rough to do. As you can see, we're already dodging as much as we possibly can right now. We're probably going to have to climb and get vectors for the ILS into runway 2 there. I know I wanted to fly this via VFR, but you know, we're not turning around. And normally we would head back to well, actually, you know what? Let's check Jefferson City and see what is going on over there.
Kilo, Juliet, Echo, Foxtrot, automated weather observation, 194, 1 Zulu, wind 140 at 4, visibility 17, sky condition, feeling 1,100, overcast, temperature 19 Celsius, dew point 16 Celsius, altimeter 2996, Kilo, Juliet, Echo, Foxtrot, automated weather observation.
Alrighty, so you heard it there. The problem is we can't get into Columbia. It's going to be two low ceilings, about 500 feet. It requires ILS, and I said I wanted to keep it VFR. So we are going to have to reroute over to Jefferson City to maintain VFR. The ceiling there is 1,100 and visibility is 17. Where at Columbia, the ceiling was at about, I think it was 500 feet and 4 to 2 miles of visibility. So we're just a small little GA guy. We cannot get in there. So we're going to reroute. We'll hit direct to. Change this over again. We'll go to JF, to Jefferson City, and we'll hit enter and enter. So there we go. 7 minutes out, and we're almost there. So that is what we're doing. And it's what happens in real life in aviation. You have to adapt your original plan, you know, if weather is hampering that, and it's just getting bad over there, and we want to get into Jefferson City while we still can, without having to fly instruments. So we're pretty much saying, you know, we don't have our instrument rating, so we can't do it. So this is what you would do in real life. You would dodge the clouds, you adapt to the weather, and we'd have an alternate. We'd go to Jefferson City. We'd probably sit there for a while until the weather cleared up, and then we could fly into Columbia as our the original plan. But, you know, things change, so we have to adapt. All right, we're about 10 miles from Jefferson City, so we can go ahead and call up Tower and let them know that we want a full stop landing.
Jefferson City Tower, Cessna November 4635 Kilo, 10 miles northeast to land. Cessna November 4635 Kilo, Jefferson City Tower, flight right base, runway 30, altimeter 2996.
All right, red base for runway 30 for us, which we basically just kind of shoot what we're doing now. We'll enter the pattern at about 45-degree angle, and then turn base and then turn final. We won't have to do a full pattern, so that's not too bad. We're at 1,500. We know that the overcast ceiling's at 1,100, so we need to start descending down to about 1,000 feet over there where the river basin is, and fly our approach onto runway 30. All right, we're at just almost down to 1,200 feet, trying to get there the best I possibly can. And I've got the airport inside. It's right off there to our right. Those are the VASI lights we're picking up over there, which are all red, which we're going to fly at 1,000 feet right off the top of these trees and make our turn. And then we will fly till we have all white lights and use the glide slope on the way down is how we're going to handle the approach. So a good thing is that we have the river valley here to help us out with altitude wise, because we know the overcast is at 1,100 over the airport, which you can see the clouds barely touching down there. So we've got to get to 1,000 feet, which is, roughly about, 500 on the approach. So we're just kind of visually flying it right now, trying to stay out of trouble as far as clouds go.
Cessna 35, you have cleared to land, runway 30.
All right, we're clear to land on runway 30 for 35 kilo.
Cleared to land, runway 30, Cessna 35 kilo.
All right, we can start slowing our airplane down now and get into the white arc so we can shoot our approach and put our flaps in. So we'll go 1,500 RPM, and we always pitch for our airspeed, and we use our power for altitude, which we want to take out anyway. And it looks like the ceiling's going to be working in our favor today. We can put in 10-degree flap there, a little bit of power back to 1,500 because 1,100 is just about where we're at right now. So we're just underneath it. So it looks like we're going to have just enough to make it into Jeff City. So that's good to have an alternate plan every time you fly. That's for sure. And those two red lights on the left-hand side are what we're going to be using. So I want those to turn white. We're going to shoot it at exactly about 1,100 feet until those two turn white. And then we can use the glide slope on the way down, which we want to have red over white. We'll be all right. If it's red on red, you're too low, which means at this, at this altitude here, if we were to have a 3-degree descent path to the runway, we would be in trouble. We would be way underneath the glide slope. So we want those to be white, and then, well, actually, we want to turn red over white, which let's just do that. We won't do over the white lights. We'll just do red over white at 1,100 feet, and then we'll use the glide path from there. So we can go 20-degree flap now. A little more power pitch for that 80 knots. And we want to add power for our altitude while we're coming in. Still maintain about 1,100 is what we want. A little more power there than that. So the winds here are pretty calm. So what it looked like when I just checked. Let's get back up on that glide slope. There we are, right on red over white's what we want. My God, the thing's pitchy as hell. Nice and easy here movements. Maintain that 70 knots on final approach. That's what we want. We've got our final settings of flaps. Instruments look good. Flight instruments, we've already double checked that. We don't want white. So to get down, we want to maintain the 70 knots with our pitch. But to get down, we want to pull that power out. That's how you drop your altitude. Pitch for airspeed, and you want to power for altitude. So maintain 70 knots, bring that nose down. A little high on approach, but we're fine. There we go. Right back onto the glide path, like so. Getting closer now. Push that nose over. Add a little bit of power here. About 1,500 RPMs, looking good. Maintaining our glide path right on the 3-degree slope in. And looking good. About 65 knots. That's not terrible. 65, 70 is ideal for a Cessna 172. We want to aim for those big white squares as our landing zone. So over the piano keys, we will right now go idle, and we will round out to our flare. So we get closer to the ground, like so. Bring the nose back. We're going to miss our touchdown point, but it's all right. Ooh. Nice and easy. Bring that nose up, bring that nose up, 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 up. There we go. And we are down. It's as simple as that. Once we clear the runway, we can bring the flaps up like so. A little more power. Get rolling. Nice and easy. Okay, over to ground.
1.7, Cessna 35 kilo.
We'll make our right on Bravo here and take it down to the ramp. All right, let's turn our strobe lights off, nav lights off, and we can turn our taxi light off. All we need on now is the beacon light, and let's go park next to that little Cessna over there. All right, we can set our parking brake now, and let's go ahead and kill the engine. Like so. Let's do a complete stop. Bam. And we can turn our avionics off. We can turn our key elevator off, and then master battery comes off as well. There you have it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the flight to now Jefferson City. We originally wanted to go to Columbia, but you know, weather changes and we have to adapt. So that's what we did. And I'll see you guys next time on a future flight.